Today I will be taking you on a tour of the June garden. This portion of the garden here is the perennial and herb garden primarily. Here we have some snapdragons, some other annual plants. There are kiwi berries along these corners here, this side here and here, a couple over on this side. Those beds ahead are some peppers and brassicas. Right here is a flower called a 4 o'clock. Around 4 o'clock they bloom. This is a peppermint stick flower, which those flowers really do resemble peppermint sticks. Here's a lettuce bed that I created this year to be kind of a picturesque, creative bed. A little beauty in the planting and arrangements of the lettuces. Some little radishes and some more brassicas and kales and spinaches. Here's a bed with some broccoli and Brussels sprouts. And then some cauliflower and a squash. Looks like this one will be ready to harvest soon. Here is the asparagus bed. We planted about 24 or 25 asparagus crowns this year, and they seem to be doing really well. The first year of growing asparagus, you do not harvest any, so I had to sit back and watch the little asparagus shoots come up and keep my hands off of them. Here's one that's coming up right now. Another one making its way up. I planted some sunflowers and dahlias in this bed. You can start to see them popping up a little bit here. This bed will definitely be the trickiest of all the beds to keep the weeds out because it's along that grass line. So here's some basil in this corner bed here. Lots of different varieties of basil. Looks like a little parsley there too. So there's 3 beds of cabbages, some herbs, nasturtiums. This is a butterfly and pollinator garden, and we have a little bird bath there to help encourage any birds and pollinating insects. Those are our pepper beds. We have a variety of jalapenos and poblanos and banana peppers and hot chili peppers. And we've got a little bed of eggplant. Here is fennel bulb. I grew fennel bulb and also the herb fennel. So right here is the fennel bulb. It's started to come up a little bit. I also planted some salsify. I've never grown salsify before. I've never eaten salsify, but I ended up having the seeds and figured I'd give it a try, so hopefully they'll germinate. Here are dried beans. Now, this was another experiment because these beans are 10 to 12 years old. So I threw them in the ground and gave them a good watering and hope they grew, which they are. Here is some celery. We have never grown celery before, so this is going to be a fun experiment. Some more fennel. Now, this is the herb fennel. So my kids love breaking off pieces of it and eating it. It's delicious. We have little swallowtail butterflies that like to lay their eggs, and the caterpillars love to eat this fennel. I don't mind it. I think they're beautiful caterpillars, and they are more than welcome to snack on my fennel in my garden. And my kids love playing with the caterpillars too. Here we have some rhubarb, another thing that I have never grown this year, so I'm gonna see how that turns out. Here come the kids. Here is my raspberry patch, my beds of raspberries. I am growing both yellow and red raspberries here, so we've started creating the beds here, and we just have a few more to finish with some cardboard and some mulch. We also grew some watermelon in those rows as well. Here are my potatoes and peas. We have 3 rows of peas. There's a water bottle I've been missing. This row right here is a combination of different root vegetables. I grew rutabaga and beets and turnips and parsnips. To be honest, I can't identify which is which. I do know the beets are up a little bit further, but there are the beets right there. But all these others, I'm just going to have to harvest them and see what they are. Tomatillas and currant tomatoes. They're little tiny tomatoes that look like little currants. We have some corn. Oh, Mimi's glasses. And the tomatoes. This is a 130-foot row of tomatoes. I did prune all these tomatoes down a significant amount, and what we're doing is just having them spiral around the string that we have attached to the wire. So we're going to give that a try this year. Here's a sucker that I forgot to prune off. So I have to make sure to get that off of there. Lots of tomatoes. So there's the row of tomatoes and then 2 rows of strawberry beds. The strawberries. Planted them and they were looking like they were doing really well, but then I think the heat just dried them out and I did not do a good job of watering them well, so I believe that a lot of them have died. So I'm keeping an eye on them, but my plan is to fill in whatever areas are missing strawberries. I'll just fill them in with the suckers as the suckers grow. weeds. The key is to pick them as you go. Don't ever let them get too out of control. Those little mounds over there in the distance are acorn squash, spaghetti squash, butternut squash, and some pumpkins. Oh, these little potato beetles. So this is the larva for the Colorado potato beetle. So what I'm going to end up doing is just getting a container and brushing them off into the container. Surprisingly, the chickens do not like the Colorado potato beetles, their larvae. They don't want anything to do with it. So unfortunately, I just stick them in a jar and put the lid on and keep them contained. Helpers. It is a never-ending harvest. Right now we are working on peas, as that's about one of the only things that is really producing, and we're getting a pretty big harvest out of that right now, so that keeps us pretty busy. Fortunately, I've got adorable helpers who enjoy picking and eating the peas, so I can keep them in the garden with me a good bit with that snack. Gideon is struggling a little bit. He tends to pull the whole plant out of the garden bed instead of just picking the pea off, so we're working on that.